One of the best feelings ever is knowing that I had a long day. And the one thing that self soothes me is telling myself, thank goodness I don't have children. I cannot imagine having a long day at work and then I am coming home. Children are screaming, children are hungry, children are saying, Mommy, Mommy. Children are asking me to help them with their homework. I have to clean up messes. I have to, put my attention between child number one, child number two, my husband. Being a mother is hard. And I wish more women would just be honest about how, even though they don't regret having their children, they do regret being a mother. Because at the end of the day, the elephant in the room is that the world that we live in does not facilitate a world. We don't live in a society where you can live a soft life as a mother. Every time you as a woman, you have a child with an average man, a man that is not going to allow you to have things taken care of, allow for your life to be easier, you are making your life 10 times harder. Every time I get on this app and I see a piece of content where there is a woman that is child free and she essentially is talking about how she is basking in the enjoyment of her being child free, the comments are riddled with bitter mothers, very upset and angry over the fact that a child-free woman is showing herself enjoy her life. But us child-free women are never going to complain when you are posting your children, you are posting their birthdays, you are posting their sporting events, you are posting their graduation. We are always going to be supportive. I think for a lot of mothers that are very angry and very upset when they see child-free women, it really hits on a sore spot for them because they realize that they fell for the okie doke. They realize that they did something mindlessly without asking themselves if they were ready, if it was something that they really wanted. Because the identity of a woman has always been modeled as a mother, as a nurturer, as a giver. That standard was created by patriarchy. So that way you as a mother can keep funding capitalism, all while giving average men, okay, and for some of y'all, way, way, way below average men, the ability to be able to keep their genetic lineage going, when in reality, those men do not deserve it. Just like men are not natural providers, it was a role that was assigned to them. And they struggle cognitively, emotionally, and mentally with the role that patriarchy has given them with being a provider and a protector because they understand that that is not natural for them, especially in the world that we live in. Patriarchy assigned it for women to be mothers when, although it is something that we are born with biologically that we can do, not every single mother is naturally a mother. Because if that was the case, we would not have child protective services. We would not have adoptions. We would not have foster mothers. We would not have foster homes. Not every single woman that has a uterus is meant to be a mother and have a child. A lot of mothers struggle with this because they're trying to fit the role that patriarchy has assigned to them, and they're struggling with the fact that it does not feel natural. It does not feel easy like how their mothers and their grandmothers tried to make it out to be. This is the hardest time ever historically for a woman to be a mother. You don't have the somewhat privilege of not having to be able to work and just only focus on the children, even though that life wasn't any better. At the end of the day, as a woman, you are 100% accountable for what choices you decide to make, whether you were educated on whether that choice was going to be good for you or not. Taking your frustration out on women that chose to be child free because they waited and they decided to gain information on how their life would look like, how it would impact them mentally, physically, understanding, how their ancestry is, how that's going to look like, what potential things might happen that their child may have, postpartum depression. You cannot get mad at those women because they decided to take knowledge first and choose to make a decision later, not make a decision first, then gain the knowledge later.
I'm 19, married to the best husband in the world. We're dual military, and shortly after we got married, we found out I was pregnant. Because I'm 19, I did try to abort, but my parents were completely against it and said karma would get me if I aborted this baby. I love my parents very much, and I do what I do for them, And I thought, since I'm having a baby with the most amazing partner in the world, it'll be okay. I'm 36 weeks now, 9 months, and every day that goes by, I wish I had just aborted it and never told anyone. I regret this wholeheartedly. I told my partner several times I do not want this baby and maybe adoption is the best route, but he promises that it won't be that bad. My body, my career I've loved, my life will never be the same because I have to cater to a child now. I'm 19. I should be having fun and living the best life, childless, with my husband. But instead, I have to give my whole life away to a child that I should have aborted when I still had time. It's too late now, and since we're both dual military, we don't have family or friends. It's just gonna be us two by ourselves, and we have to rely on super expensive daycare. The life I've worked for, I got, and it's immediately being taken away. I hope no other woman feels like this. It's terrible to know you're helpless.
Motherhood is a scam. You give up your body, your time, and your identity and get judged for not loving every second of it.
After seeing my last Regretful Parents post, a woman reached out to me and asked for some advice. She is child free by choice and engaged to a man who also wants to be child free, but she has concerns that he will change his mind. She asked me to share her message anonymously and ask for the advice of viewers. After I read the message, if you have any thoughts or comments or words of wisdom for this woman or anyone else who might be in this situation, please leave those. Here's her message. I don't want kids and never ever have. I'm terrified of my fiance changing his mind about kids. We've been together for 3 years and we constantly talk about the burden of having kids. I'm set in my ways and he claims to be too. We even talked about a pact, understanding where we both stand. If one day our minds change, it's going to be an uphill battle to try to change my mind. He understands the responsibility and lack of freedom that comes with raising a child. But like many parents, the mother almost always gets the brunt end. He's the love of my life, but if he wants kids, it will have to be with someone else. How can I let go of the fear that he might change his mind? Even if he wants kids but knows I don't and doesn't want to lose me, I fear that he'll grow resentful toward me. That's the end of her message, so I'm going to weigh in with my opinion on this. First of all, I think you have to communicate a very clear boundary with your fiance, and that boundary is, I do not want kids, I will not want kids, and it will never be acceptable for you to try to change my mind. You are not allowed to ask, suggest, coerce, or pressure me into changing my mind at any time. And if you do, that is a deal breaker that will end our marriage. When you communicate this boundary, you have to be clear. In your message, you mentioned something about an uphill battle. Him trying to change your mind would be an uphill battle. And that to me sounds wishy-washy. That sounds like there is room for him to try. It will be a battle, but you can try. That can't be an option. He has to understand clearly that he is not allowed to put you in that position. You will not change your mind. I think you also need to accept that you cannot control the emotions and desires of another person. And so being fearful that he's going to change his mind does nothing for you. There's nothing you can do about that. It's out of your control, so let that fear go. If you have clearly communicated your boundary to him, it is his job to listen, believe you, and act accordingly. And that's all you can do. And lastly, if he wants kids and you don't, then he's not the love of your life, and that's okay. I don't want to be dismissive of your feelings, and I understand that you right now believe he is the love of your life, and he may be. I'm not going to judge that. But what I do know is that so often people's feelings change, and in 5, 10, 20 years, you could feel very differently about this man. He may not be the love of your life, but I understand how that feels in the moment, how you truly believe this is the love of my life. But so often we learn as we change, as we grow, they're not the love of our lives. The fact is, you don't need him or anyone else to live your fullest, best life. You can be the love of your own life. And you will be infinitely happier being the love of your own life than staying with a man who has pressured you to have kids than you would be if you had kids that you didn't want, or if you stayed with a man who resented you for not giving him children. So choose you. Choose you always. And I actually do have one more point to make, and that is, if you ever have second thoughts, if you ever start to think you might want children, that's fine. Do not talk to him about it until you have you are sure that you have changed your mind. Talk about it with a trusted friend, talk about it with your mom, your sister, whoever, anyone but him. Because once you have opened that topic up for discussion, then it becomes okay for him to start telling you how he feels and how he's changed his mind, and that will put pressure on you. That will put pressure on you that you don't want to deal with. So if you ever start second guessing yourself, that's okay. You may change your mind, and that's fine, but do not communicate that to him until you are sure, because that opens the door for him to start pressuring you.
One of the biggest scams in America, and that's why I'm so vocal when I see people or hear people talk about they want a baby and they're childless. I tell them not to. I miss my child-free self, just being able to get up and go, and also being able to work overtime. I was eating the clock at my jobs, and I literally was working 2 jobs, able to do all of that, make sure I was good. I cannot do that no more, and everyone's telling me to wait till they get older. Why do I have to wait that long? But dad gets to do whatever the hell he wants. Girl, don't let nobody make you feel bad about working. Don't make yourself feel bad. You better get this money and make sure them bills paid at home. 5150. Make sure you good.
Regretful Reddit Parents Part 4. I now tell people to not have kids. I never really expressed this with anyone. I'm 24 male, wife is 25. She always wanted to be a young mum, and I said I didn't want kids. Throughout the years, I thought it would actually be cool. We have a 2.5-year-old daughter and a 10-month-old son. Genuinely love my children, but I've come to the realization that I was already right. I'm not cut out for this. I didn't want my life looking like this. The kids ruin everything. Our nights, our weekends, all of our spare time. We can't go out willy-nilly. Date nights are usually spent at home now. We can't do anything. We're broke, depressed, and our relationship is suffering. That is something that people don't talk about enough, how much the strain in the relationship is. Sometimes you can't always get through that shit. We used to have a good, fun, sexually active, and adventurous in bed marriage. Everything was great. The kids just drive an absolute wedge between everything. The 2.5-year-old is testing our patience, crying hysterically 90% of the time. I just need to get this off my chest, that I knew that I didn't want this, but I didn't want to lose my wife. She was the best thing to happen to me. Before the comments rolled in, we mutually agreed on having kids. I wasn't manipulated or given an ultimatum. She didn't want to keep the first, but I said I would. I'm not cut out for this, and as far as I can tell, this doesn't get any better. But trust your gut. If you don't want kids, don't trick yourself into thinking that you do want kids. Just don't do it.
The only metric that's been proven that benefits a child from living under a 2-parent household is finances. If mommy has $50,000, if daddy has $50,000, that means that there is a combined household income of $100,000, correct? That is the only thing that is proven to benefit a child statistically. They are not saying that, oh, well, when a father's in the home, the father is able to protect his children or his child from, getting pregnant, or from joining a gang, or from, committing a DV, or from, all of these other things. There are no statistics that are saying that. The statistics mostly lead to the fact that having 2 people has 2 incomes. But this is the kicker. The number 1 metric for a child's happiness is based off the happiness of their mother. So even if a man is in the household, if he's treating the mother like shit and he's being a terrible person to the mother, the child is still not going to be happy. The child is not going to grow up productive. The child is not going to turn out to be the person that you think you're doing such a good job raising to become to be. Because at the end of the day, if a child has a single mother and she makes $100K alone and she is happy because she doesn't have a man stressing her out, she doesn't have to worry about all of this domestic labor that she is doing. She doesn't have to worry about a man yelling at her, being abusive, being disrespectful to her. The child is going to be witnessing a happy mother, which is then going to imprint on them that mommy is safe, mommy is happy, mommy is able to be in a predicament where she is not struggling. The number 1 thing that kids are always going to pick up on is their environment and what they are picking up on their environment. If a woman can provide a safe environment and still match the finances of what it would be if a child were living under a two household income, a man is not needed. And this is why you all don't like women making money. This is why you all don't like women getting an education, because we can easily cut you out. We can easily go get IVF. We can easily go to the sperm bank. With our finances, we literally can do everything it is that we want to do and not have you be in the picture at all, or your involvement. You don't have to even worry about seeing your children. You don't have to worry about having the child's last name or them taking your last name. Nothing. And you all don't want that. If a woman were to say, hey, I want you to get me pregnant, I'll go on I'll put myself on child support, I'll still have the baby have my last name. You all aren't doing that, because you all want to be able to extract. It makes someone stressed out. It makes someone exhausted. It makes someone tired, because you all get off on that. It has nothing to do with children at the end of the day. On average, the man is making $60,000 on average annually. You all aren't providing all of this mass amount of income to children. And let's talk about the reading level, okay? Children academically are suffering. They're struggling. They're reading well below the grade level that they're actually admitted into. So even with a two-parent household, you all aren't doing anything, and it's very reflective in how these children are today, in how the education between the parents is failing them, because you all don't have enough money and enough time to allocate resources outside of your children. People could say all day long, oh, children do better in a two-parent household. Where is the proof? Where is the living proof?
Behind every no contact story, there's usually a boomer parent saying, I have no idea why my kid won't talk to me, and an adult child who's completely exhausted from trying to explain it. Boomers are allergic to accountability. They act like grandparent toddlers, pouting, lying, manipulating, and demanding attention the second they don't get their way. They think they're the star of everyone's story, but they ruin their own families by refusing to learn basic communication, empathy, or conflict resolution skills. We've had to be the grown-ups, explaining to our parents how to be decent humans, and that's not our job. Nobody wants to go no contact with their parents. But when the rumors get back to you that they have no idea what they did, and people are looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Take that as confirmation that you made the right choice. My mother was willing to lose me rather than owning her truth and seeking help. You don't have to maintain a relationship with boomer adult toddlers just because they're your parents. There's lots of other people out there that would be happy to love you.
Regretful Parents Post Part 1. I stopped enabling and she destroyed the house while leaving. A couple days ago, I posted on here with the title, I'm a failure and so is my adult child. Everyone had said to stop enabling. My husband and I came up with a plan, and it was to give her a deadline and an ultimatum, either choose school or work. I had said no more allowances either unless she helps around at least. Since she thinks she's too good for either a serving job or a retail job, she had a meltdown when we suggested her to work. She of course said she wants to find a job in her field, and our answer was, what field? Because she has not finished school, so her options are limited. Well, my husband and I left for work, and when we came back, she was gone. But she had destroyed the house. Plates in the kitchen, shattered on the floor, TV smashed in, railings on the staircase, kicked in, sofa cut up. We called her and she said, I don't want to see your faces ever again. And we don't know where she went. Like for part 2.
Do you want to know when I first realized that most women are lying about enjoying marriage and motherhood? I'll tell you. So this takes place about 8 or 9 years ago. I had just gotten a job in an office, and the majority, I'll say I only had one male coworker. So everyone in the office was women. Now, you already know what other women ask you about when you first arrive to a new job. As soon as I got there, the other women in the office asked me 2 questions. Do you have a man, and do you have kids? Like literally, they barely asked me my name before asking if I have kids or any attachment to a man. At the time, I did have a boyfriend, but of course, no kids. As soon as these women found out that I had a boyfriend but was not interested in having kids, they made it their mission to tell me every single day about how motherhood is the most rewarding thing that you can do, and how if I don't have a kid now, I'll just regret it later, and how I might as well, just get it out of the way. I'm young, I'm fit, I have a nice body. Just do it so that I don't end up regretting not having a kid later. These women would be constantly showing me pictures of their kids who they thought were so cute and coming back to work on Monday, talking about what they did with their husband over the weekend. And, oh, my family went to the pumpkin patch and my family did this. I guess to try to make it seem like I was missing out on something by refusing to have kids. Literally, almost every single day, the women in the office who had kids would approach the women in the office who did not have kids and tell them how they're missing out on the greatest joys in life. Now, this was for about the first couple of weeks after I started this job. And these women would say anything. They would be like, oh, you and your boyfriend are so beautiful together. Y'all should just have kids to see how they look. Your baby's going to be beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Just anything that they could do to try to convince me that having kids was a good idea. So I'll say about a month into working this job, we started to get more comfortable with each other. We started to get friendly with each other. And we say, hey, let's go up the street after work and get some tacos and margaritas. Now, here is where the truth begins. So we pull up to the taco spot, we eating, laughing, joking. And let me tell y'all something. We didn't even finish one whole margarita before these women who were just in the office telling me about how I'm missing out on the greatest thing that I can do in life were complaining about their kids, how they wish they had waited, how they wish they didn't have any, and complaining about their husbands who they were just telling everybody were the greatest things in the world. When I tell y'all that the happiness that these women had been advertising to me the entire time that we were in the office was a whole lie, I mean it. They spoke of how they're broke, they're exhausted, they don't get enough sleep, their man doesn't help them, their kids are ungrateful, they can no longer hold their pee, their different body parts have never healed, their husbands make fun of their stomachs and the stretch marks that they now have. They were miserable and did not have not one good thing to say about their kids or their husbands, boyfriends, baby daddy, whatever. It only took a margarita and some space away from the office for these women to start telling the truth. And that is how I know that most women who come online and brag about being mothers and wives are secretly miserable. And honestly, it's not so secret. Yeah, that is how I discovered that most women are lying about their happiness and just trying to recruit child free women to join their cult of misery. And that's another reason why when married women and women with kids come forward and say, oh, just do it, just get it out of the way, it's going to fulfill you, it's going to complete you, I just roll my eyes because I know they're lying. They're lying straight up and just trying to recruit you so you can be as miserable as they are.
I was telling him like, hey, we don't need to do a nasty divorce, but like you do need to like give me some money to go on about my way because I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past year and a half and I don't have anything to show for that year where I could have been earning money. I was at home taking care of us. Like you got to work because of my sacrifice, so I deserve something. And like nothing unreasonable, but just something so that I can breathe, so that I'm not like paycheck to paycheck, literally. And he told me, he said, and I also said that, yeah, I didn't work, but like I provided value because I gave birth to two children and I raised them and I helped with family life. And his answer was, what you did, that's not how value works. What you did it have any value? Because there was a lot of women who wanted to give me kids. I could have had kids with anybody, but you can't just run out and go find a man to provide for you any day of the week. So me providing for you was more valuable than you giving me two children.
This is the reason why some of us always advocate for women to be financially independent, have a source of income, have a career before you get married or before you have children. This is a good example of what we call the motherhood penalty. Because women are the primary caregivers for children, for every child you have, it will reduce your ability to earn an income at your highest capacity. And it is the sacrifices that women make when they have children that is likely to lead them into the feminization of poverty, which is women living in poverty in their old age because they committed their most productive years being a caregiver for children. Therefore, they did not work jobs that paid pension and they do not have any pension in their old age. Also, a lot of men do not want to be fathers. Men use pregnancy and motherhood as a way to punish women, to keep you on a leash, to derail you, and to keep you under their control. So if you're a woman and you're giving up your career, giving up your education for marriage and to have children, oh, being a mother is a beautiful thing. I love my children. Yeah, that is all good. But if you do not have any source of income and you're not working a job that is paying you retirement, guess what? You're going to be struggling in your old age and marriage can end. Dear ladies, being a mother is not a trophy because capitalism does not even support mothers. From maternity leave to struggling to be employed when you're a mother, especially when you're a mother with younger kids, it's real. However, capitalism rewards married men. Men who are married are perceived to be responsible. Therefore, they are likely to get a promotion, they are likely to get a contract, and likely to get a job. Minus if they don't have any criminal record. So, dear women, understand that men can use pregnancy and being a mother to keep you on a leash and keep you under control. And if they leave you and that relationship does not work out, you are stuck with a bunch of kids, you're gonna struggle, and that is just the reality. Society punishes women for being mothers. So for those of you who center your entire life around being married and being a mother, get a grip, find a steady source of income, and understand that as a woman, when you are taking care of the children and you're taking care of the home, that is a sacrifice you're making for your husband to go out there, advance in his career, and do good and earn pension. Therefore, you are contributing intangibly to your husband advancing in his career. For every man that is successful, there's a woman who sacrificed her life for that man to be successful, especially in the context of marriage. So, dear ladies, wake up. Before you get married, before you have kids, make sure you have a steady source of income. Make sure you have a stable career. And also understand that the motherhood penalty exists. For every child you have, your ability to earn an income reduces. So in everything that you do as a woman, have the number of children that you can financially take care of. Do not depend on a man to be having kids, thinking that that relationship or that marriage will last forever. Nothing lasts forever. Even if it does not end in divorce, men have a lower life expectancy than women on the average. So a man or a husband is likely to die before his wife. Make sure as a woman you are securing yourself financially and you are only having the number of children you can support financially, emotionally, and mentally. A lot of you are out here having kids you cannot take care of as a woman financially, emotionally, and mentally. And most of you are just raising the next generation of toxic individuals. I'm just saying the truth. I'm not being mean, I'm just being real. My name is Dr. Zira. I'm a sociologist. If you're not following, guess what? Hit the follow button.